Good morning, guys. All in Crypto here, and welcome back, everybody, for another YouTube video. We're going to start the week off with a bang, and it is going to be a big week for not just the cryptocurrency market, but monetary policy, the economy, markets generally. It's going to be an absolutely huge week that we're moving into because we've got some key data coming out in regards to monetary policy with the interest rate hike. We've also got, and we're going to be finding out on the 28th of this month, and we've covered it in a prior video, whether the US is officially or not in a recession. And recession is just essentially defined by two negative quarters. This is all going to weigh heavy on the cryptocurrency market shoulders, and we've maintained a bias here to many people's displeasure, I guess, that we think these markets are going to go lower. You guys know that we were warning people around about 44K. Look, you got to be very cautious here. And then we've taken a very much risk-off approach really since then. Weren't fully out at 44K. We weren't certainly the first out of this market. But we've really kind of looked at the broader picture, which is really controlling everything. Crypto really isn't moving off its own merit and more moving off of the kind of macroeconomics involved with markets, liquidity mainly. And essentially that doesn't paint a very bright picture for an asset that's moving very much in sync with the NASDAQ. And I'm going to go over a few things in this video that I think are really important to understand, because has Bitcoin ever seen a recession? No. So why are people calling bottoms for the... I've seen some huge names. I don't want to mention any of them. Some of them I have a little bit of respect for, some none at all. But it doesn't matter whether I respect these people or not. At the end of the day, the thing about markets is the proof is in the pudding. And we haven't got everything right on this channel, but we've certainly tried our best, and we do tend to get more things right than wrong. Which I'm happy with. No one's ever going to get everything right, so you kind of got to give people that leeway. But ultimately, I think that this does lead to more downside. I think this is still somewhat of a bear flag, not as clear as the other ones, but is going to follow suit in the same way. And I still can see Bitcoin getting down to 14K. You guys know that I'm waiting to accumulate altcoins significantly cheaper. May never get that opportunity, but I'm going to maintain that bias, and it's paid me to do so far until I see reason to do otherwise. So it's going to be an absolutely huge week, guys. Markets face what could be the most important week of summer with the Fed, earnings and economic data. So what do they mean by earnings? Well, we'll get into it. We've spoken about earnings previously. This obviously has an effect on the stock market. The stock market is very correlated to Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market, certainly the US stock market. And bad earnings would certainly not be a very positive outlook. And we've got things like Google, Microsoft, Visa, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Boehm. We've got lots and lots of Ford Motor company earnings, Apple, Intel coming out this week. And depending on how they do, there's going to be a real impact on the stock market to either the up or the downside. And obviously that's going to have a knock-on effect with our market. Very quickly, the Asian market is opened down regular majority. The UK market, certainly the FTSE is kind of fluctuating, not really doing a lot. I ultimately think it's going to come off. And then we have the futures market, which is slightly down, but not horrifically. I'll certainly be waiting and watching and tinkering my trades around the US Open. But right now, guys, we're short, and really short sort of since last night, this morning. Been on and off, flirting with shorts, looking for that opportunity. But I think for altcoins, there's certainly a possibility, especially if Bitcoin rolls. And Bitcoin is at key support right now, that you see significantly lower price. You're at key support here, by the way. You can see just how many times, we've flirted with this, and it did turn into support here. Issue you've got now is, do you do something like that and come down to this lower trend line, see how we react, and then ultimately we make our way back down to these lows. Failing this, we've got a huge gap below us that we spoke about looking at the broader time frames. And then, you can see we've really just been consolidating between these two periods of consolidation that we made on the way up in this kind of void, if you will. Big void down here with not much consolidation, and you're looking for levels down here if you fail this. So that's really the plan. But what happens this week is really going to dictate things. We know that we had the CPI print, which came out horrifically for the US. Markets initially tanked. We were short it and then had to get out very quickly as they turned their heads. It didn't tank the price, and I think that gave people a lot of confidence. And I think you've got lots of people calling for bottoms right now that, first of all, have been wrong the whole way down. And second of all, and we've got things wrong. I was still bullish around your 50K range. Even your high 40k range, I still thought this market was going to turn around. But I don't know how people are calling bottoms when Bitcoin's never faced a recession, and we're now moving into one. You looking at markets again. Just using the Nasdaq, covered this with my Patreons the other day, and a number of other things that we won't go into in this video. But Bitcoin came about here. Yeah. The problem that you've got is markets have only really gone up since then, and you've held this 200 weekly moving average. In a recession, how do you interact with your weekly moving average? Well, you do something like this. You bounce off it and then you smash through it. Bounce off it and then smash through it. I think that similar thing's going to play out. That's just my bias. I don't think there's a positive outlook in terms of, if markets are moved by liquidity and money going into them. That money is now becoming very scarce. Inherently, not just in the US now, we also have the ECB, which did an interest rate hike. First time in 11 years, and this this really flared the debt crisis that happened within the European Union. The peak of it was kind of 2010, 2011, but we're getting a bit off topic. So what have we got coming up this week? The busiest and what could be the most important week of the summer is coming up, with the Federal Reserve expectation to deliver another 3/4 point hike. So people are getting bullish on this and going, oh, well, it's only 3/4, they're not doing a point. What people don't understand is the last time they were at 2.5%, which is what the Fed fund rate will be, they basically stopped the repo market from working and then had to undo it exceptionally quick. You had a bond yield curve inversion in 2019. Subsequently, after that, you had March 2020, 6 months after. Go look at the yield curve, guys. Not going to get into this video. We did talk about it in yesterday's community meeting. Second quarter GDP and other economic reports could provide more clues as to whether the economy is heading for a recession, and earnings are expected from Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, among others. So I believe we are in a recession. A recession is essentially just defined by 2 negative quarters. You don't find out that you're in a recession till after you're already in one, of course, because the data is from the prior quarter. And it's from the BEA, I believe. So the Bank of Economic Analysis, not the bank, so the Bureau of Economic Analysis. They'll give this data on the 28th. That's when we'll officially know. If we are in a recession, again, going back to the Nasdaq, we know how we react. We know where we currently are. Are we about to see that roll and that further downside capitulation? And the thing is, everyone's going, oh no, well, everyone's bearish. We should buy the dip and buy the fear. People might be bearish, but their positions actually in some cases don't represent that. They've not had to sell yet. I think that comes. And I think that comes because people become forced sellers. I think if you look at your everyday consumer, I spent the last week in London. Some of you would have noticed that I didn't make any videos. And London's a very affluent place. From somebody who's from the West Midlands, there's a big difference going down south and being sort of up north. And I've lived all over the north, and certainly in places up in Scotland. Very, very different. And even the people down there, they're I speak to people that own shops, etc., etc. There's a bit of a decline, and I think this continues, and that's in places like that. So, this is the issue that I have with people being bullish right now. Why are you bullish when markets, if they're moved by money coming into them, that is now taken off the damn table? And essentially here, for me, the real tell will be whether the attitude of investors continues to be the earnings season is better than feared, said one. So we covered this in last night's meeting. Earnings has actually been significantly better than I thought it was, but there has been some horror stories within it, like Snapchat. Tesla did great, but they also sold their Bitcoin. We haven't actually covered that on the channel. But these are the companies that we've got moving forward this week. So this is going to affect things. We've got Amazon. All your big names really happen to be in this week. So it's significant. On top of the Fed hike and the FOMC that we're getting on the 27th, watching that on my with my members. So anybody that's interested in that, there's a link in the description to my Patreon. Up to you guys. I put out great free content, I think, on YouTube. So it's not compulsory. You're still going to get a good, well-rounded view. But we do get into things in a lot more detail in there. And of course, you get daily kind of interactions with me. You got the WHO declares rapid spread of the pox, we'll just call it that, outbreak a global health emergency. I listened to the news the other day and it was such fear-mongering. It wasn't about anything, really, that was, particularly supposed to be a concern, but they made it a real concern. I can't help but feel like they continuously scaremonger people. to make them more controllable and malleable. You know, people forget that we're human beings. We are special, in my opinion. And you know, I feel like getting way off topic here, but you know, there's lots of sort of things around the corner. And I made this point yesterday. Forgive me, guys, I'm a bit tired. It is currently 10 to 8 in the morning, and I've been up for about 3 hours looking at the market. But I said this yesterday, I just feel like we're waiting for a Lehman's moment. We're waiting for somebody to blame right now. We're waiting for an event to take place that's going to cause markets to capitulate, and then they go, oh, that's what caused it, when they were already set to do so. And could this be it? Well, maybe, potentially, I don't know. What I want to do is actually leave you guys with a bit of bullish news, because I am extremely bullish on crypto. May not sound it from this video, and certainly how we've got on with it, but I do believe that blockchain is really a technological revolution that's going to change all of our lives, and we're going to be using it seamlessly and integrate it into many, many things. And this is Barclays takes a punt on crypto firm Copper in latest funding round. You're getting the likes of Barclays getting into crypto. All your big hedge funds, institutions, and banks are going to move towards it. We're already starting to see that. Why are they doing so if they thought this was a nothing burger and an industry that wasn't going to survive? I would argue they wouldn't be doing it if they thought that was going to be the case. It wouldn't be very smart to do so. And this is one reason I'm so bullish on the cryptocurrency market. Issue that we've got is we've got a recession to get through. Markets are driven by liquidity. Liquidity will come back. For now, it's very much scarce, and we're going to invest around it accordingly. All I've got for you in this video, guys. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So as a comment, and I'll catch each and every one of you hopefully in the next YouTube video. Have a fantastic day, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great week.